Lepper, the home form's been quite good. Does that give you a bit of hope tomorrow against the Pies?
Yeah, we hope the home team turns up this week because that form has been good against all opposition. We kicked ourselves out of it against North early days and cost ourselves a win there, and had a good win against the Suns and had more shots than the Swans, but just couldn't get the job done. So home form's been terrific against very good opposition, and yeah, not so good away. So look, we're hopeful that the trend continues this week.
Dane Beams was a great comeback, wasn't it? After 8 months out, 30 touches and a goal. What are you expecting from him against his old footy club?
Well, the same again. I mean, he's a class player, so you don't have to worry about your good players because they tend to have the output every week, don't they? So just have to make sure we're good as a team. Individually, we can be very good, but it doesn't necessarily get you the win. We need to be good as a team.
Do you expect him to lift because it is the Pies and it's his old club? Do you expect him to, or you said on Tuesday it's like any other game, but I know they all say that, but do you expect him to lift because it is his old club?
Oh, who knows? I mean, it's so hard when you're playing against your old team, isn't it? And some people lift and some don't. I expect him to. He's a class player and he's a pro, so I wouldn't expect any reason why he wouldn't.
Collingwood's under all sorts of pressure. What do you expect from them?
Oh, they've brought a bit of speed back into their team, and they'll get to go away from Melbourne, where they probably do cop a bit of the heat, and come up here and want to have a good away win. I'm sure they've built themselves up for that, and we've got to expect a fight. And it's going to be two teams that similar placed on the ladder, both very young teams. They've got to have a go at it this week, so it's going to be a contest, and we know that. We're not expecting anything different. We've just got to, when the hard times come, which they do in every game, we just got to show a bit more fight than what we did in that second quarter last week.
Sorts yesterday saying he's tired of losing. He's sort of hoping, a win would make a huge difference, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yes, we're all tired of losing. It's everyone gets sick of it, to be perfectly honest. I think we've had some improvements though within our club this year, so we've also got to look at that, and we're building for, I guess, a longer term. We all know that, but our short-term performances, we want to get consistency in that. There's no doubt, and to drop away as drastically as we did last week after a really bright start. They're the sorts of things that we don't want to see this year, and as a playing group and as a coaching group, we sort of got together and realised that's not what we want to stand for this year.
So would a win sort of against Collingwood be a bit of a spring in the step you need?
Oh, well, winning helps everything. It papers over every crack you've got. So it's just what happens. So we always go out there every week to win the game. So
Louis Taylor's back in the side. Why was he omitted last week?
I mean, a lot of the contested ball stuff and what we're doing. I mean, that we put on Louis for a few weeks now, and want that to be a big part of his game. And look, he lost his position in the team because there's guys that come in to do it. Rocky's out of the team and he comes back in, so he gets his chance again. So, and that's a part of our game. Everyone knows we've been poor at. When we do it well, we win, and when we don't, we lose. That's why we haven't won many games, because we've been poor at it more times than we've been good at it. So we just have to pressure the opposition and also attack the footy with more consistency than what we do, and we have to prove that this week.
Does Keys go back more time in the midfield with Louis coming back in the forward line?
I wouldn't have thought our structure is going to change too much this week.
Where do you think you can get Collingwood then? We know you go at contested balls your theme every single week, but what gives you confidence that you can?
Well, one thing I know we can do very well is if we get the most important parts of our game right, which is the contested ball pressure, is that we can move the ball fairly well when on our terms. But you can't go into a game thinking like that. That's the icing on the cake. That's what builds your game and builds your consistency. Is nice offence, but we know we can do that part of our game. But we have to do the tough stuff first.
Lee Matthews had some comments earlier this week about his thoughts on two teams in Queensland. He thought there was always should just be one team. But what did you think about his comments and the Suns' reaction to it? With the chairman came out pretty strong.
I mean, Lee's a commentator first and foremost, and one thing I know about Lee, he's a very considered human being when he speaks. He speaks with always logic within it, so he's never attacks people. Any time I've seen him speak, so I don't think that's there. I mean, I'd love 10 teams in Brisbane because that means we don't have to travel so much. That'd be fantastic for me. I've got some teams that I think the Doggies have played 7 straight at Etihad. Imagine playing 7 straight here. We've had the 4 hardest travels. In the first 7 weeks, so I'd love to have more teams up here, but it's a financial call, really. I don't think it's even an opinion, is it? It's just, is the money going to work short-term, medium or long-term? So one thing we have got with Lee, though, and I'm really wrapped with our board, a very stable board, Difficult with Lee, isn't it? Because he's got a commentator and he's also on our board. But I know for himself, he's speaking about the game and his opinions, not Brisbane Lions beliefs. But yeah, I'm very happy we've got a very solid, strong, stable board.
Were you surprised with the Suns' reaction? Do you think they overreacted a little bit with?
I don't think the Suns reacted.
That's the chairman.
He reacted. He can do what he likes. I don't really care, to be perfectly honest.